from Bloomberg's World Headquarters in New York, I'm Scarlett Fu. Tim Stenovic is on assignment. Welcome to Bloomberg Crypto, a look at the people, transactions, and technology shaping the world of decentralized finance. Bitcoin under pressure with financial markets in risk-off mode. The original coin sits near a session low as it falls to the lowest level since June. Plus, it is election day here in the U.S., and we focus today on the growing influence of the crypto industry on policy and regulation. Senator Cynthia Lummis will join us. And in just a moment, we're going to speak with Perianne, founder and chair of the Digital Chamber, the nation's oldest and largest blockchain trade association. As we focus on politics and digital assets, here's how the tone has shifted under this second Trump administration.
We've been very happy with the president's approach on crypto. Crypto is truly bipartisan. I mean, the president's leadership here has been amazing.
They are doing an outstanding job bringing stable coins into U.S. markets.
Namely, you had the bipartisan passage of the Genius Act, the stablecoin bill, earlier this year. And I think what that means is it opens up this space to new entrants.
Obviously, we're dealing with the SEC, but I love the attitude of the new administration, and we're hopeful and excited.
I think the bottom line is that we encourage firms to come in and talk to us.
I see its adoption all over the world and how much it's being embraced globally, and the floodgates are just starting to open.
This is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and it should be based here in America.
As long as the Trump family and their associates play by the rules, I'm completely fine by it. I think crypto had a big deal. It had the big deal in the election. I think Democrats, a lot of them think, oh, crypto swayed the election Trump's way.
We have a president who has thrown down the gauntlet. I mean, he's not shrinking from this, and he understands the importance.
He's done a fantastic job of stewarding crypto policy through the U.S. And I'm extremely thankful for everything that he's done.
All right, let's bring in Bloomberg's campaign finance reporter, Bill Allison, in Washington on this election day. Bill, the 2024 presidential election, known as the crypto election, the industry clearly played a very pivotal role in Donald Trump's victory. What does the industry's role in politics look like now?
It is, they are loaded for bear for the midterm elections. They are, there's about $263 million, we think, floating around in crypto-focused super PACs. There's growing numbers of them in the 2024 election. There was really just one called Fairshake. Now there's like 3 or 4 that are starting with different industry figures who are putting in, up to $100 million into some of these. And so they're going to have a ton of money to spend, and they're going to be focused on, what's best for our industry.
Okay, there's a lot more money to spend. Are these groups working in concert with one another? Are they working, I wouldn't say in opposition, but are they pursuing different priorities?
I think there's a little bit of a different strategy with some of the new groups. I mean, we really won't know until they, start spending money. One of the things about the crypto industry and the approach that they took, they tried it out first in 2022, and then they came back with a new super PAC in 2024. They've tried to be very nonpartisan or bipartisan. They look forward to support both Republicans and Democrats who back their issues. They went heavily after a couple of Democrats, Katie Porter in the primary for the California Senate race in 2024. They went after Sherrod Brown, who's another big critic of the crypto industry, the senator from Ohio. They were successful in both, going after both of those politicians, which I think really sent a message to politicians around the country that this is something to be taken seriously. But the new groups seem to be leaning a little bit more Republican, and that could be because Republicans have, basically both houses of Congress and the presidency. But it's also that some of these folks are, like, for example, the Winklevoss twins, who are very Republican-oriented, started one of the groups, and it looks like they may be lining up more behind Republicans rather than splitting their money between Republicans and Democrats the way that Fairshake did.
All right, good stuff. Thank you so much for that context. Bloomberg's campaign finance reporter, Bill Allison. Let's continue this discussion of crypto and politics, the intersection of it, and bring in Perianne, founder and chair of the Digital Chamber, which is the nation's oldest and largest blockchain trade association. Perianne, good to speak with you. And you heard what Bill Allison was saying about how some of the original organizations were pursuing both Democrats and Republicans, but some of the newer groups are leaning definitely more towards Republicans, although it is a reflection perhaps of how Republicans currently dominate our government. What are you seeing on your end?
Well, new polls are showing us that the majority of crypto investors and crypto voters actually lean Democrat by a couple of percentage points. So you have more Democrats that are crypto in the crypto industry, but more of them are actually voting Republican, and that they trust President Trump and Republicans more with crypto policy than Democrats. I personally feel that blockchain technology and cryptocurrency should be a nonpartisan issue. This should not be partisan because it's technology. Why should technology lean left or right? However, what we saw during the previous Biden administration was a full-on war on crypto. And that's not my words. That was the words of Senator Elizabeth Warren, who was the head of the anti-crypto army. So because there was this huge push to try to shut down the industry by Democrats, the pendulum has swung the other way, but this should not be a partisan issue.
So Perianne, to that point, have you seen more Democrats embrace the industry this time around, a year after the 2024 election?
We absolutely have. I mean, this still was somewhat of a partisan issue during the Biden administration. You had a number of people in high power, like Elizabeth Warren, who were very, very vocal. But underneath the scenes, the political scenes, were still a number of Democrats and Republicans that were working together to advance crypto policy. And we still see that. We saw that with the stablecoin bill that passed in a bipartisan way. We've seen that with the market structure bill that has passed the House twice now with overwhelming bipartisan support. So you do have a couple very vocal people on the Democratic Party, but overall this continues to be a nonpartisan issue, and we're still working to remove the politics from this incredibly important technology issue for the United States of America.
So Perianne, just give us an overview of how the debate, the content of the debate has shifted in Washington when it comes to crypto. What is most urgent right now versus what was most urgent, say, a year ago?
Well, we've really moved past the question of, is crypto just a fad? Is this just a trend that's going to come and go? And now it is widely accepted, and more people have really come to understand that blockchain technology is the future of finance. This is the infrastructure that will run our financial services industry, plus others in digital commerce. And it's absolutely critical that we create the rules to the road so businesses can build here, so investors can invest in American blockchain-made technology, and so we can continue to lead the world in digital commerce. So we've gone really past just speculating, is this going to be a thing in the future, to this absolutely is critical infrastructure, and we need to lead, and we need to get the rules right to foster that environment.
Right, and how to integrate it into existing systems and existing infrastructure. And of course, it touches so many different industries. Once upon a time, crypto was kind of the domain of the Senate Banking Committee or the House Financial Services Committee. It's gone beyond that, hasn't it?
Absolutely. What we are seeing is the tokenization of all things. I believe anything that can be moved on chain will be, or to a large extent. So that will be everything from financial services related to transactions to the title of your house or your car could be issued on a blockchain and settled using blockchain infrastructure. We already have a number of projects that are being used in the defense industry to secure communications across defense-related systems. So many different industries will use and leverage blockchain rails in the future. And again, this is why it's so critical that we get the rules right, so we attract these types of businesses, this types of innovation, so we continue to lead in this advanced technology sector.
Perianne, really appreciate your joining us today. Perianne Boring is founder and chair of the Digital Chamber. Now, coming up on Bloomberg Crypto, our conversation with Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming. She's been called the crypto industry's queen, the crypto queen. She's going to share her thoughts on the intersection of digital assets and policymaking next. And to access all of the latest data and news on crypto, be sure to check out CRYP Go on the Bloomberg terminal. This is Bloomberg. Today's Today's elections pit Republicans versus Democrats, except maybe here in New York City where it's Democrat versus independent. But policymakers on both sides of the aisle are hashing out new regulations. Earlier today, I spoke with the senator for the state of Wyoming, Republican Cynthia Lummis, and I began by asking the senator for the latest with the crypto market structure bill. Take a listen.
Right now, we're working at the staff level every single day to get the votes necessary in committee to get it out of committee. So these are bipartisan discussions. They are down at the granular level. We're making tremendous progress at that level to try to get a bill ready before the banking committee votes on it, making sure that it incorporates both parties' changes and has been vetted by industry, so they'll understand what they're being asked to do from a regulatory point of view.
Yeah, I think about how far it's stunning the crypto industry has come to being fully embraced by government now, this election day, versus a year ago. There is, however, one hurdle, and that is Senate Democrats. How do you get them on board with this crypto market structure bill?
Well, we have been working with them since July, and lately intensely, to make sure that they're comfortable with the draft, that they understand its ramifications, that they have an opportunity to weigh in with language that they want. These conversations at this point are very successful. Yes, they're slower than we hoped, but unlike the Genius Act, where we had to renegotiate the bill after it came out of committee, we want to have all those negotiations occur before the banking committee votes on it.
Did President Trump's pardon of the Binance CEO have any kind of impact on the talks, maybe slow things down a little bit?
Not to my knowledge. Market structure is very different, of course, from that issue, the issue of the pardon. And so we're trying to stay focused on market structure moving forward rather than looking in the rearview mirror.
Overall, when it comes to regulation, SEC Chairman Paul Atkins has said that there's a lot the agency can do without Congress to regulate crypto using exemptions as well as other tools. Should the agency move forward on its own in this way, or should it wait for congressional action, do you think?
I think it should do both. Part of the problem, Scarlett, in the last administration was there were no clear rules of the road. And so you had companies getting heavy fines through enforcement action and fined for rules that didn't exist. And so the industry is very interested in seeing long-term solutions, clear rules of the road that can only come through legislation. That said, I'm very pleased that Paul Atkins is taking the approach at the SEC that there are things they can do now. So companies, while they're waiting for legislation, can move forward with their plans. This is a fast-moving industry. It's a very large industry now, and the sooner they have clear rules of the road, be they at the SEC or through law, the better.
I want to get your take on the fight over stablecoins between the banking industry and the crypto industry. The Genius Act, as you know, prevents stablecoin issuers from paying yield, but nothing prevents exchanges like Coinbase, for instance, from paying yield in the form of rewards to those who hold stablecoins. And the banks are upset about this and want to see this fixed in the next bill. So how do Republican lawmakers choose between the banks, who are kind of the stalwarts of TradFi, and the crypto industry?
Well, personally, it was so difficult to get Genius passed that I kind of hate to reopen Genius. I can understand the frustration of the community banks, but I want them to know that they're going to have access to custody and include and incorporate digital assets into their offerings as banks. 3 states already allow for community banks to custody digital assets. Those states are Louisiana, Virginia, and Wyoming. And I expect when this bill passes that other states will also allow for banks to bank digital assets. This is the future. This is the 21st century economy, and we need to make sure that community banks embrace the opportunities that are presented to them by being able to bank both fiat currency and digital assets.
Well, speaking of the banking industry in Wyoming, I want to get your thoughts on Custodio Bank, which is based in Wyoming. A federal appeals court ruled that the bank, which provides custody services for crypto companies, is not entitled to access the Fed's payment system. What do you make of that?
Well, I was disappointed with the decision. It was a 2-to-1 decision at the 10th Circuit, but the Fed, through its bank supervision, has created a skinny master account that can be made available to digital asset industries. It strips a few of the full master account functions from being available to special purpose depository institutions, but it does allow people to have access to a skinny master account if they custody digital assets. So I'm very pleased that the Fed moved forward with this and recognizes what's happening in our global economy and is responsive to it.
Also, when it comes to the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, which, of course, was established by President Trump in an executive order, I know you've said that funding can start anytime. There's been some discussion about converting some of the U.S. government's gold holdings into Bitcoin. Have you seen any traction on that?
I have not. I think the administration is looking at ideas other than using our gold certificates, marking them to market, and then converting them to Bitcoin. There are other ways to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve other than converting our gold certificates. And so Secretary Bessent, Treasury Secretary, is looking at those matters, as well as the folks at the White House. I'm glad they're embracing the notion of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. It's an asset that will grow over time and help offset the burgeoning growth in our national debt.
And that was Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming speaking to me earlier today. We do have some breaking news. The FAA has issued a ground stop at D.C. National Airport. And of course, that is Reagan National Airport over security. And it's not clear what that means, what security means. We do know that the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, has said that he would close U.S. airspace if officials determined that air travel was not safe, given the shutdown and the lack of staffing at some airports. We'll keep you posted on any further developments. Now, coming up next in Bloomberg Crypto, it is earnings day for Mara, whose shares are lower in midday trading. We're going to discuss the company's outlook, as well as Bitcoin miners getting into the AI energy frenzy with CEO Fred Thiel. This is Bloomberg.
We're seeing some amount of selling around the $100,000 level, likely from people who bought Bitcoin when it was $10,000 or $1,000. We have to work through that sell wall. Once we do, I think we'll see substantial upside.
That was Bitwise Asset Management CIO Matt Hogan speaking to us on ETF IQ yesterday. Now, we're seeing a sell-off in Bitcoin, with the token now at its lowest level since June. Bitcoin miner Mara Holdings reported quarterly revenue that met analyst estimates. Yet, you look at the shares, they're getting caught up in the crypto weakness overall. Mara Chairman and CEO Fred Thiel joins me now. Fred, thank you for speaking with us today. I know that for the earnings that ended the quarter of September 30th, you've gone over some of those results. I'm curious to get a better read into how things look right now this quarter, especially because this quarter includes October 10th, when billions of dollars in leveraged crypto positions were basically wiped out. Can we start by talking about how the large liquidations affected your revenue as you use derivatives-based strategies to generate yields?
Not badly. I mean, we don't necessarily use futures, future contracts, other than in a costless collar methodology that allows us to essentially enter and exit positions in a way that doesn't affect our holdings overall. So we weren't, if you look at what happened in the course of October. None of our positions was negatively affected. So we actually went in and acquired Bitcoin opportunistically, as price allowed us to do it.
Right.
We said at the end of our Q2 call that we felt the market was frothy. It's coming to levels where we think it's appropriately priced now. So.
What do you think of yield strategies in general? For instance, using perpetual futures or options to enhance returns?
Well, we actually do something much more basic. We lend out our Bitcoin to people who are very credit worthy and don't provide concentration risk or credit risk, and that allow us to call that back on a very short-term basis that provide a guaranteed yield. It's kind of like the real estate business, and it works quite well. We try and stay away from a little bit more of these edgy strategies. We do have a small portion of the Bitcoin that we actually actively trade, but the vast majority of our Bitcoin yield generation is done through very conservative lending arrangements.
The summer was really the summer of digital asset treasuries, DATs, and we've seen how they exploded in popularity, but interest has kind of waned in them. Are you sticking to your Bitcoin treasury strategy even with that interest kind of dissipating?
Well, we're not a digital asset treasury company. Let's start there. We're a Bitcoin miner that just happens to hold all of our cash in Bitcoin. We've never put ourselves out there as a DAT. We've never really positioned ourselves as a company.
Okay, but you're still planning to hold on to those Bitcoin holdings and not change that approach?
Absolutely.
Okay. Very quickly, Fred, I'm curious about what kind of AI initiatives you're considering, because we've seen other crypto miners get more involved in AI, like Cypher and Iron. And I'm curious whether your investors are pushing for more of an AI transition for you to kind of embrace that more?
Well, today we announced a deal we are in the process of completing with MPLX, where we will build and operate 3 gas-fired power plants on the gas pipeline, which will give us up to 1.5 gigawatts of reliable 24/7 power, if you would, and the ability to build data centers, which we then have optionality to do HPC or AI. We also announced today that our first inference AI site is operating in conjunction with Bitcoin. So we're co-locating and co-operating Bitcoin and AI on the same site using similar infrastructure. It doesn't need water cooling, it's air cooled. And we believe that that will provide us with market leading price per token for AI.
Good stuff. Thank you so much for joining us today, Fred. NARA Chairman and CEO Fred Thiel. And that does it for Bloomberg Crypto. Please join us again, same time, same place next week. This is Bloomberg.